In both the real world and the world of Pokemon, the Great Wilderness is what we most closely associate with wildlife. We often think of wildlife as something out there, somewhere far away and inaccessible. However, that couldn't be further from the truth. The nature of, well, nature is that it is everywhere. Nature isn't far away, but right here, even amongst human life. Wildlife can be found even in the most urban of environments, since even these are a part of the natural world. Today we'll be meeting the Pokemon that thrive in urban environments of the Enjey region. The most obvious features of urban life are man-made objects. Unfortunately, one of the more common things you might see in a city is litter. Our first Pokemon represents that. So let's meet Plastigust, the plastic bag Pokemon. It's a poison and flying type. It helplessly drifts through the wind, often getting caught in tree branches or other objects. There have been trash Pokemon before, sure, but few take inspiration from specific pieces of trash. A classic sight you might see in the United States is a plastic bag, and thanks to their lightweight and big open shape, they're easily carried in the wind and look like tumbleweeds. There's something just so pathetic about the way they fly around like that, and it felt right to make a silly object Pokemon based on that. I included another element to this design too, the plastic packaging for canned beverages. This made the silhouette a little more visually distinct than just a plain plastic bag, and it further emphasizes the plastic litter vibe. Both of these plastic trash types are big issues for wildlife, especially marine animals like turtles and fish. Plastigust may be cute, but please remember to pick up your trash in real life. Heck, why not participate in efforts to clean up litter in your community? This stuff really does make a difference. The name Plastigust comes from plastic and gust. Next up, we have a Pokemon that reflects a very strange bit of history. So let's meet Enjey Girafarig, the Lost Body Pokemon. It's a ghost and water type. It quietly swims in murky, polluted water. It's unclear what its diet consists of. The Hudson River divides New York City proper and New Jersey, and it's infamous for being gross and weird. The Hudson River also has a bit of a history associated with death, being thought of as a place where gangsters dispose of bodies, or where others might meet their doom. One body found in New York's waters really sticks out to me though. The skeleton of a giraffe. This was discovered by the US Army Corps of Engineers, and it's thought that this was a circus giraffe that fell off of a boat and drowned sometime in the 80s. To be honest, even though I keep finding accounts of this having happened, I'm having trouble confirming when exactly the skeleton was dredged up, or if this story is even actually true, so if anyone can help me find a primary source on it, I would really appreciate it. I took this, perhaps fictional, tragic incident as inspiration for an unusual city Pokemon, giving Girafarig a new form. Its tail is spiked like a classic cartoon water mine, and the gray fur by its feet is meant to call back to the idea of cement shoes, a stereotypical way to drown people, especially by gangsters. Ultimately, the goal of this design was to reflect how strange, weird, and morbid the history of the river really is. And of course, Girafarig evolves into Enjey Farigiraf, the vengeful Pokemon. It's still a ghost and water type. Angry at its drowned fate, it has an aggressive temperament. However, it is a loyal partner once befriended. I had started work on the Enjey region back in 2021, and I knew early on I wanted Girafarig to evolve. I struggled with coming up with the design though, so imagine my relief when they revealed that Girafarig would be getting a canonical evolution in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. It was truly a lifesaver that the Pokemon Company released a real version, since it gave me a good direction for mine. With the big helmet-like second face, my goal here was to make Farigiraf look like an old-timey diver. This style of diving suit was often used in the construction of bridges, since the foundations of these structures would be deep underwater. To me, old diving suits just remind me of the deadliness of the deep sea, knowing the history of accidents and other incidents associated with it. It feels like a perfect match, both conceptually and visually. Farigiraf here also gets more wispy forms added to its silhouette, to give it both an underwater and spectral quality. This design has undergone lots of changes over the years, and I'm very happy with where it ended up. Well, Girafarig and Farigiraf have some pretty dark inspirations. Let's get a little more light, both figuratively and literally. So let's meet Sauce Cute, the false star Pokemon. It's a dark type. It playfully flies through the skies, favoring populated areas. It's often mistaken for a shooting star. Soscue is inspired by several things. First things first, it's a batomorph, a ray or a skate. Fun fact, if you didn't know, the batomorph family, like stingrays and skates, are in the same family as sharks. Soscue is also meant to look like a flying saucer, a common type of UFO. These are the most classic of UFO shapes, that simple little disc with a glowing center. Lastly, Soscue is meant to look like a shooting star. Its tail looks like the trail that comes off of meteors, and its body is shaped like a 5-point star. Even the pose in this art is meant to look like the shooting star emoji. I adore skates and rays, and aliens have always been a deep fascination for me, so designing a Pokemon like this feels like a dream come true. Soscute's name, of course, comes from saucer and cute. If you wander in the cities of Enjey, however, Soscute's evolved form is more common. Despite this, it's excellent at hiding, and you'll need to have a keen eye to even see it. Let's meet Albedo, the false sky Pokemon. It's a dark type. This enormous Pokemon blocks the night sky with its body, shining false stars below. The reason for this odd behavior is unknown. The top part of Albedo still resembles a classic cartoon flying saucer. However, a dramatic change has occurred with its underbelly. Now, its belly resembles a night sky. Albedo is actually inspired by light pollution, a phenomenon where bright lights cause enough glare to make it difficult to see the night sky. New Jersey, being a densely populated state with many cities, has some of the worst light pollution in the country. Our skies are just obscured by the light of our towns and cities. Albedo is a literal wall blocking the view of the night sky, projecting the pattern of its starry underbelly instead. Albedo went through many iterations over the course of the Enjey project, and only in this latest version where it has a pre-evolution am I finally happy with it. The concept of a light pollution Pokemon feels just so right to me. I knew I just had to tackle this concept with everything I had. Albedo's name comes from disc, the classic shape of a flying saucer, and albedo, the measure of light reflected from an object. Despite being a dark type, it's a being based on light. The last Pokemon we'll meet today continues our nighttime theme. So let's meet Celebrate, the Night Parade Pokemon. It's a ghost type. While small on its own, this Pokemon gathers in groups, forming the shape of an enormous ghost. This visage scares off evil spirits. Celebrate is Enjey's answer to Wishy-Washy, a small Pokemon with a large schooling form. Instead of being a school of fish, Celebrate is a parade float full of spirits. Before I show you the full parade form though, let's talk about the solo design for a little bit. Solo Celebrate has a shape inspired primarily by two things: the classic shape of spirits in video games, and turnips. Since it's Halloween themed and glows from the inside, I wanted to call back to the idea of jack-o'-lanterns. However, I wanted to avoid being a little too obvious. So instead of using a modern pumpkin, I went with the historical turnip, one of the first vegetables used in making jack-o'-lanterns. The plume coming from Celebrate's head is also meant to resemble the plume of a shako, or the hat that marching bands wear. Specifically, it's meant to look like the extra tall plume of a drum major, the leader of the band. As a former drum major myself, I knew I had to reference my own parade experience in this design. My goal here was to make a simple, compelling shape for the solo form, and I feel pretty happy with where it ended up. In a group, Celebrate turns into its parade form. This form resembles a large, stylized human skeleton, and its base resembles the bottom of a parade float. This design is also inspired by the Gasha Dokuro, a Japanese yokai resembling, well, a giant human skeleton. The form of the Gasha Dokuro makes an appearance in the film Pompoko, where the Tanuki use it as one of many forms in a spirit parade. Large skeletons have also been pretty popular as Halloween decorations in recent years. I've noticed multiple neighbors owning that infamous 12-foot Home Depot skeleton. The skull shape of the head also makes for easy incorporation of the solo form's face elements. My idea with how the parade form works is that the dark bottom half of Celebrate faces the outside, and the bright glowing plumes are pointing inside. This helps this whole parade seem like it's glowing from within. While I've known what the solo form would look like for almost 2 years now, this version of the parade form is one of the freshest redesigns I've done for the project. Now, I can confidently say that I'm happy with how Celebrate has turned out. Celebrate's name comes from celebrate, bright, and celestial, since it's bright like a star. While this episode may be a little short, keep in mind that these are not the only Pokemon you might find in the Enjey region cities. Plenty of other Pokemon from previous videos can also be found living amongst people. This particular video just focuses on those with strong ties to urban life in particular. Even if this is a smaller batch, it's a group of Pokemon that I'm really proud of, so please let me know if any of these Pokemon would make it onto your Enjey team. If you'd like to support me, consider checking out my Ko-fi page. Over there, I have open commissions, a store with many wallpapers, emotes, adoptables, and more, and monthly memberships that help make my life a little bit more stable and allow me to allot more time to making these videos. If you're more interested in physical merchandise, check out my Palm Street store, where I sell stickers, charms, pins, original paintings, and more. I also host live sale events, so if you'd like to hang out for one of those streams, please go follow me on Palm Street so you don't miss them. And with that, that is all that I've got for you guys today. I have another video coming about a couple different groups of Pokemon at the end of September, so I hope you look forward to that next Enjey video. I hope to see you again soon with another art video. And in the meantime, why don't you all go out there and make some art?